Hello, thank you for joining us here on Cronkite News' Twitch.tv. I'm Brianna Alexander, and I will be your host today. We will be going around the Sports Bureau following Sarandon Raboin. She is a senior at Cronkite. She's a sports producer and sports anchor for Cronkite News, so it'll be really interesting being able to show you guys all around our sports bureau studio and just let you guys learn more about what we do behind the scenes. So, as you can see, Sarandon is getting ready. She is on her phone, probably on Slack, getting updates, trying to figure out what to do for this upcoming show. Let's see. Can we get Sarandon to say hey? Let's see. Can we get Sarandon to say hi to our audience on Twitch?
They want you to say hi.
Hi. There she goes.
I'm Sarandon. I'm a sports anchor here at Cronkite News on Tuesdays. I'm also a producer for the segment, so I basically write what I want to say on camera. I'm co-producer with the amazing Kelsey, and she's right off screen and she's looking at me. But this is Kelsey. She's my other half. But yeah, I'm really excited for you guys to see what it's like to be a sports anchor today.
Awesome. Let's see. Sarandon, could you tell us what you're doing right now?
Can you say a little bit more about what you're doing right now?
So what I'm doing right now is I'm waiting for the time to go through the run through. So sports is at the end of the day and the end of the show. So I kind of just wait until they tell me that they're ready for me. And I kind of go over and you'll see me reading my scripts and overall just kind of getting ready and getting prepared.
So we have an audience question. They want to know, how do you decide what stories are a part of the sportscast?
How do you decide what stories are in the sportscast?
Oh, that's such a good question. We always have such a difficult time trying to figure out what's in the sportscast because usually we only get like 2 to 3 minutes a show. So we will pick what's a package from one of our amazing sports producers, or sports reporters, excuse me. So today we have a package about the Coyotes' new retro reverse jerseys that are really cool and really new. And then usually we'll have some other local sports news like what's going on with the Coyotes. They just had an amazing comeback win last night. And then with the Suns, they are on a tear. They're breaking records and having really cool stats like left and right. So yeah, that's kind of what we have decided to put in the show. And usually every day we kind of come in with, an idea of what we want to put in and overall just kind of what we want to tell you guys.
What's the favorite story you've reported on, Sarandon?
What's your favorite story you've reported on?
That I've reported on? Ooh, good question. My favorite story that I've reported on is actually one that hasn't come out yet. I hiked up Paisua Peak on Valentine's Day, and I followed this man. His name is Kenny Hoshino. He's a Japanese folk drummer, and he does a very amazing ceremony and drum performance at the sunrise. So I was able to go out and film him. It was really cool and beautiful and special, and I'm very, very excited to do that story. But another one that I really love is one that I did at the end of last semester when I was a reporter. And it was a guy that biked the entire Underground Railroad from Louisiana to Niagara Falls. And it was just an amazing story. And I can barely ride my bike for 10 minutes. So the fact that he was able to ride it for 30 days straight is incredible.
That sounds like a really awesome story. For some of you that don't know, our Phoenix Sports Bureau is located in the art newsroom on the second floor of the Cronkite School with views of the city. We all come together. We have our producers, our broadcast reporters, anchors, and directors, and we all come together as one to create such an awesome broadcast for all of you guys to be able to see. Sarandon, why don't you let them know some of the different positions that you've done on Cronkite News?
Since there's still a lot of work to do.
She said something about positions that was really hard.
What?
Something about positions, like talk about some of the positions.
Oh, okay. So I'm a broadcast producer this semester, but before I was a broadcast reporter. And there's a lot of different positions you can be with the Phoenix Sports Bureau. You can be part of the digital team, the audio team, the broadcast team, and the social team. And so you can basically work as really any kind of journalist that you want. We have, a sports podcast kind of along the lines with Stand to Go. We have some great digital stories that come out on the website. And then with the Newscast, we have our own Facebook Live show that is just sports that we produce every single day from 12:30, and that's live on Facebook. And then we have our little sports segment here in the Newscast. And sorry, let me didn't mean to forget, but for anchoring the sports segment here on the Newscast, you can be whatever position that you want. So even as a producer, I'm able to anchor, but we have digital reporters who are anchors, and then also broadcast reporters who are anchors. So if you want to, be on air and be the anchor for the sportscast, you really can be whatever type of reporter that you want to be.
And it's awesome that you brought that up. I didn't introduce my position in the beginning.
Okay, I need to go grab my mic, but I will be back.
Okay, she will be back. It's great that she brought that up because I didn't introduce my position to begin with. First, my name is Brianna Alexander, and I am an anchor for the show. I'm also a broadcast reporter, so I usually go out and find stories on Tuesdays and Thursdays, set up interviews, film, edit, and all of that. And then on Mondays, I'll anchor the show. Sometimes there'll be packages that I'll do a voiceover to that I actually did the story on as well. We have a really good question here, which, it says, is it hard to do a newscast when someone is talking in your ear? I always wondered that. That is a great question. It is a little distracting. Thankfully, they're really good at not talking in your ear throughout the whole show. Usually they'll only talk in your ear whenever they need you to specifically know something. So I very rarely ever hear them just like having a side conversation in the middle of me like speaking. And I haven't really heard too many times while I'm actually anchoring and reading like on the teleprompter them trying to like have a conversation with like a producer, a director, or someone else other than me. They're really good at that. So no, it's not hard, although I'm sure if they were having side conversations, it would be extremely distracting. Do you have any fun stories about covering sports in Arizona? That is a really good question. I do not cover sports. I am just a broadcast reporter. I've never covered sports. But Sarandon, when she comes back, I will be able to let her answer that, and she can give you a ton of fun and exciting stories about that. What is my favorite part about being an anchor? From Melissa. My favorite part about being an anchor? I really like being able to tell stories. I like being able to tell other people's stories, so it feels really good to be able to get in front of a screen and be able to share other people's experiences or tell the news, let people be informed about things. I think that's my favorite part about being an anchor, just knowing that I'm the one actually like letting people know certain things that are going on in the world and sharing other people's stories and experiences, I'd say. So as you guys can see, I'm thinking she is getting mic'd up, Sarandon, which is a very hard process, harder than you would think. When it comes to trying to hide mics, trying to make sure that no one sees them, getting them under dresses, all of that. It's very, very hard. Someone asked, why is it such an ordeal to put on your microphone? I see Sarandon doing like a dance back there to get on her microphone. Yeah, so like I said, it is extremely hard. Honestly, it's great that she's even wearing like a suit. That's a little easier. Imagine having it like go up on your like in a dress. Like I'm sure um, there's a lot of issues with that. It is an ordeal because we usually have to, whenever you wear pants, you clip it, but you want to have it right. You don't want people to be able to see the microphone, but you want to at the same time be able to hear it. You need to be able to hear in your ear, and you also want to be able to make sure that it's not going to fall off, that your hair is not hitting it, things like that. So it's kind of hard to reach from your back to like pull it up so that you can't see the long cord, because imagine if Sarandon put it in the front, you'd see that long cord. You don't want that, so it's a lot of back stretching, you know. I don't know if you guys remember doing that back in elementary school, having to do your little exercises, but they're very similar. And then when you do a dress, you put a little, it's kind of like, it's like a little clip that you put around your leg, and then you'll clip the mics into that, and you'll have to pull it in through your dress, or some people will put it through their back. But just whatever way you can make sure that no one's able to see it. And I think that's why it's such a hard thing to do, because you want it from the back. So if you see Sarandon has an iPad in her hand. Oh wait, I think she wants to say something.
About covering sports in Arizona. So any fun stories about covering sports in Arizona? I did interview the CEO of the drone racing league, which is kind of cool because you don't get to talk to CEOs of leagues as a young reporter. And he was really, really interesting. He showed me the drones and all that stuff. We're going to start with Abby. I also covered the #1 pick in the ASU, or in the MLB draft, Spencer Fulkerson, a bunch when I covered ASU baseball. So that's really cool because he's playing for Detroit right now.
Sarandon, they want to know, how does it feel to be a legend?
How does it feel to be a legend?
I am not a legend, guys. I am just a very hardworking person, and I do a lot, and I like to do all kinds of different things, but I am not a legend. Yes.
Sarandon, how long does it take to produce a whole sports show?
How long does it take to produce the whole show?
So, to produce both shows, it takes from about 8 a.m. to like 1:32. To produce the regular sports segment for this show, for Cronkite News, it takes about, 4 hours. But we're always running around. You'll see me running all over the place.
In the year 2000, Arizona voters created the Independent Redistricting Commission, or the IRC, which allowed a group of separate from governors to plot the federal and state legislative districts. But what exactly does this mean? The commission is, it's been bad happening. I'm so sorry. I need the mouse. Mouse. Bad things happen.
Sarandon, how do you guys get videos of the teams, pre-COVID and post-COVID?
Do you have a second?
Do you want a pre-tape?
I have a question for you.
Yes.
How do you get video of the teams pre-COVID and post-COVID?
Okay, so pre-COVID, we would actually get those guys to go to the games. So we would be able to, actually have our videographers out there shooting B-roll and shooting for, Cronkite News, which was awesome because it's so fun to be at the games and shooting. I love it. It's actually my favorite part of the job. And then post-COVID, with availability, it's a lot stricter. And so, because we don't want, these teams don't want to be super spreader events with COVID, basically what happens is that we have this really cool thing called Sideboard where we're able to use tweets and video from that's how we get most of our game footage. But also, we have to be really, really creative with our B-roll. So sometimes we're using graphics or other things that may or may not have been a part of our packages before.
Sarandon, I'm not sure if you guys can do this right now because I know you guys are about to start recording, but is there any way that we could get meet some of the other people around the studio? They're really curious about the people who are inside the studio with you.
She wants, when you're free, to meet other people around the studio. Like, if you could introduce me.
Yeah, so here is Emma. She is my lovely assistant today. She's relaying all your wonderful questions because I am not able to watch the stream and I don't have anything in my ear. I have a producer right now in my ear for the show, but she has been my lovely woman behind the curtain. So that's awesome. And then, if we can, could you, I don't know if you want me to open up, let's see. Probably, yeah. Yeah, okay, I can pick it up. Okay, just careful.
And Emma's a very, very, very good broadcast reporter as
This
well.
is where I'll stand for sports, because then if we just swivel around, here's our lovely people that we have in the studio today. Wait, guys, wrong straight. Yeah. This is moral support. They're so wonderful.
What are their names?
Reed, Chelsea, Tyler, Emma, Mitchell, Evan, yes. We have Abby and Faith. Hello. And then we can see our wonderful anchors for Karina and Jackson today. So they are our anchors for the day. All right.
Kind of.
Really great team. So a lot of people are asking what is going on at the touch screen. They want to know more about the touch screen.
All right. And now you're back.
So a lot of people are wondering what is going on with the touch screen. Why are so many people around it? Why are they touching it? What does it do? What is going on?
Oh, so Faith's got the touch screen right now, and it's basically like a big iPad where you just kind of touch everything, and you are able to go onto the web and like basically interact with it. So it's really, really cool. Right now, Abby's trying to figure out her segment, which is on the touch screen. And so something's acting up, but we'll figure it out. And that's all kind of part of live news, is that you got to just problem solve on the spot.
What are you guys reporting on today with the touchscreen?
What are some of the stories in the newscast for today?
Okay, so in the newscast today, which I have on my handy dandy iPad. Okay, sorry. The producers are telling us some things. So, okay, so what's in the show today is that we have an amazing package from Madden, which is about the Coyotes retro reverse jerseys. And then we have a quick VOSOT, which is basically a soundbite and a... Sorry, the producer's talking in my ear. So then we're also going to talk about the Suns, and they're bringing up a couple of records, which is some really cool stats. And then that's it. That's our show. It's a pretty quick show, but a pretty cool one.
And that goes back to the other question of, is it distracting to have someone in your ear? That answered that one perfectly. Sarandon, why journalism for you?
So the producers are telling us that we're going to go through one run through, and then we're going to go live pretty much afterwards. So you'll be able to see how the show works. But basically, I kind of just wait until the B block, which is the second half of the show, and then I'm able to do my sportscast.
It's a really fun process.
The question she asked was, what's her favorite part about journalism?
My favorite part about journalism is talking to people and interviewing with people and going out and really exploring. I don't like a 9-to-5 desk job. I really like being able to go out and really figure out and find out new places. I love traveling. So journalism seems like a pretty good way to be able to travel and also just go over and find new things to do.
Good evening and welcome to.
And Sarandon, I answered this before, but I want to know, how do you feel? They were wondering about the mic and putting it on and why it's such a struggle. What would you say is the struggle
Why
with
is it
that?
such a struggle to put on a mic?
Good question, man. If I knew how to put on a mic in a very simple way, shoot.
Well, she's busy. Okay, so you guys are about to see Sarandon get all ready to start running through the show. So what we do is we usually have rehearsals first. It's usually, you get maybe one or two full shows within it where we will record. Let's see what she has to say.
Oh yeah, we have to switch mics mid-show. So I forgot to switch it back to Mitchell, who when we started the run through, he's at the front. So, and then he'll send it to me. Guys.
Sarandon, can you go into telling us how you create a rundown and what program you use?
On the mic, obviously, as you just saw.
Can you talk about what programs you use to create the rundown and what that process is like to create a rundown?
Yeah, I can. Oh, so we use this program called ENPS, which is how we create a rundown. So that way we are able to, kind of build it and put it in all of our stories and our elements and everything from, sound bites, little clippets of people speaking to, video that we speak under called voiceover. So we can put all of that into ENPS, and then we use Premiere, which is our editing software, and we are able to edit all the videos that we need to do, and everyone edits their package on Premiere as well. So those are some of the programs that we use, and then it runs off of a prompter, and I'm able to have ENPS on my iPad and to read the scripts off of there.
Which is extremely convenient, I will tell you that. So, what I was saying before, they're going to go through rehearsal soon.
Kelsey's making a joke because she uses PowerPoint to make her graphics. All right, I gotta put my mic on, so I'll be back.
So we have a few shout outs that we want to do while we're waiting. We have a shout out to Palo Verde High School, Trevor G. Brown High School, and Basha High School. They may not be watching right now, but we just wanted to throw it out there, let you guys know that we are very thankful for all the support that you guys are giving to us. So shout out to all of you.
With COVID-19 cases trending downward across the state, the University of Arizona is now allowing classes up to 50 students to
and shout out to Willow Canyon.
Also relaxing restrictions placed on students living in dorms.
Shout out to you guys. Never to be forgotten. What other questions do you guys want to know? I'm excited to tell you more about how we go through running our studio. What are some thoughts that you guys have been wondering?
In Illinois, state Michigan flows. There are still food and water shortages in Texas after lots of weather.
Thank you, Willow Canyon.
How do you come off natural and not too serious?
That's a really good question. I kind of just be myself. I smile a lot and I laugh a lot because I'm a very giggly person. But I think the key to not coming off too stiff is something that is, you can't take yourself too seriously. Like, we're all here having fun. Like, this job is fun. So that's kind of how I think, I don't come off too stiff, is like, I'm having a lot of fun, and it's a lot of fun to like read off the prompter and to be on TV and be on the camera. Like, it's just fun.
So we have some questions about how are we able to handle being an anchor and a reporter. Sarandon, why don't you let us know that?
It's a lot of responsibility. You know, you got to make sure that you are representing Cronkite News and like pretty much everything that is Cronkite, because like you are the face, and you know you have to take it very seriously. But like you want to have your personality show. Like I said, like it's all about having fun. But you know it is a responsibility, and I do take it as such.
Can anchors be a producer too?
Can anchors be a producer too?
They can. I am that. I am both a producer and an anchor, and it's a lot of work, but it's a lot of fun because I basically just write what I want to say on camera.
This year, SciTech's 10th anniversary festival.
Sarandon, how would you say, what are some things that you do to become a better sports anchor?
I had the answer to that question. In my experience, it's kind of just like, you know, listening and being a good storyteller. All right, I gotta go to get my place because after this, it's me. So, be right back.
So while Sarandon is going through and getting ready, I'll answer a few questions as well. One of the ways, a good way of handling being an anchor and reporter, I will say it is a lot of work, but it's nice. One of the ways you can do to handle it is, you know, time, prioritizing time, figuring out whenever it comes to stories, making sure it works with your schedule when it comes to setting up interviews, whenever you are on camera, just remembering that to just focus in on what you're doing then and not worry about things that you have to do later. Making sure that whenever you're on screen, you aren't letting any other distractions worry you, so that when you come out of it, you can work, you know that there was nothing in the way of you doing that cast. What do we wear on camera? Well, typically it's always professional. Normally I'll see whenever there's anchors, they'll wear, like broadcast anchors will wear nice dresses, no patterns, typically, because that can be very distracting to the audience. It's usually a solid color, nothing too bright, because you don't want to distract the audience that way either. Our colors typically are blues, greens, navies, yellows, things like that. Just very professional, or like little suits like Sarandon has on, which is really, really cute. Just a nice professional look. So we are getting ready to look at Sarandon, looking all cute. You see, that is exact. Yes, look at that style. So let's see. Ask some more questions, guys. I want to hear from you. What do you guys want to know? Some questions. A typical day in the studio. That's a good question, Faith. So a typical day in the studio, for a broadcast reporter, because that's what I am, I can't speak on everyone else's positions, but as a broadcast reporter coming into the studio, typically you come in ready, dressed, you get mic'd up, you study, you get the iPad. That's the first thing you do. You check out an iPad, which we get from our Jet Lab. Shout out to them. We study the script on EMPS with the iPad. We'll read it, go over it a few times, practice, making sure that we know how to pronounce things and that everything on there is accurate. And then from there, we begin rehearsals. We'll mic up. We'll get in our positions. We'll run through it a few times. I know our producers work long and hard to make sure that all our packages and salts and BOs are in there, and that all of the scripts are in there so that we can read it on the teleprompter. A lot of a few rehearsals, and then we go live. Live is a fun process because it's live, but not technically live, but it's live. We have to treat it as if it's live because we don't get to redo it once they say, okay, we're going live. It's, if you make a mess up, it's there. So that's typically the process. After our live, we're pretty much finished, as from a broadcast reporter standpoint. But everyone else on the team, producers, things like that, I'm sure they're still going through everything, trying to make sure that the show is exported and ready to be able to air on our YouTube channel, which is Cronkite News, and on our website and on cable and stuff. Also, everyone, if you haven't already, please subscribe to our Twitch channel. We'd love that. We love the support from you guys. Everyone watching right now, we will be airing tomorrow as well from 2:30 to 3:30 and Thursday. So please subscribe to our Twitch channel. I guess I should tell you guys a little bit more about me. So my name is Brianna Alexander. I am a broadcast reporter for Cronkite News, as I said before. Things that I could point out, some of my favorite Cronkite experiences, I'd say definitely the first time I was able to air a package that I did. I thought that was really fun and cool because I felt like I worked hard for it and put a lot of I was able to tell someone's story that I had been able to interview and stuff, and that was really awesome feeling. So I'd say that's one of my favorite experiences on Cronkite News, as well as just being able to be in the newsroom, be able to be around so many great people's personalities, and just it's a really great experience. So some classes, if you guys ever do want to come to Cronkite News or to Cronkite and be involved in Cronkite News, that are required. You start off with classes that are a little like just beginner classes. We have JMC, which JMC's Journalism and Mass Communication, 305, which is just like a small little video class that will teach you how to use Premiere, how to do like simple camera things, tricks, and just teach you simple tools that you'll need. And then we have JMC 201, which is our writing class, writing and reporting class, which that one focuses more on writing in like newspapers and things like that. And then we have JMC 202, which focuses more on broadcast writing. So that helps us be able to get the skills that we need to write a script and to write and run down whenever we do want to do Cronkite News. We have JMC 330 and JMC 345, which are our videography and television reporting classes that give us the skills to be able to shoot and make sure that the videos that we're shooting are high quality, to be able to, whenever we do get to Cronkite News, or really any other job, because Cronkite News is treated, it's a job, it runs like any other studio, news studio. So these tricks that we learn from videography, television reporting are very handy for our future careers. And those are some of the classes that if you are going here, you take, and they would be very helpful for your career. Faith wants to know, what is the Jet Lab? The Jet Lab is the best thing ever. It's a really great job, and this isn't me being biased because I work there, but it's a really great place. They help check out equipment to Cronkite News students, and also just students in general at Cronkite. They have cameras, mics, tripods, a bunch of different equipment that helps us be able to go out. They're very great people. They give us the tools. Sometimes they're there to help us whenever we are having issues, technical issues that we may not know how to solve, but they do because they have so much experience being around the equipment. So that is the Jet Lab, and it used to be called the Broadcast Lab. Now it is called the Jet Lab. So now we have Sarandon. We're going to go back to her, and we are going to see that she will be running some rehearsals, doing her part as she spoke about earlier. So I'm gonna let you guys listen in on her experience with rehearsals and let you guys get a feel of how it is to be in a newsroom and to practice right before the live shows. Caitlin says, "Go Sarandon."
It's the song out there.
No, it was delivered as a, with the video attached to the stock.
No, but I'm sorry.
That started with the stock. They did two separate files, right?
They were two separate files.
So what they're talking about now, sometimes our slots and VOs, just the way that they go in, helps them be able to time it.
Welcome back. I'm Sarandon Raboin with your Cronkite Sports Report. The Coyotes can call it a comeback. They won their first game when trailing by 3 or more goals since 2018. But even with the victory, head coach Rick Tocchet was disappointed with the performance.
It was bad, first period. Yeah, the results are great. But I want to see a response to the first period next game. That's going to be telling. It's going to be telling for my for me, how we fought the first period.
All NHL teams have 3 different jerseys they can wear throughout the season. However, the league decided to add in a 4th jersey this year, calling them the reverse reference. Cronkite News reporter Madden Johnston Thomas explains what's behind the new uniforms for the Arizona Coyotes.
The Arizona Coyotes recently debuted the reverse retro jersey, the league-wide ultimate jersey program that represents unique and historical moments for NHL franchises, taking the jersey from the past and putting it in today. The Coyotes home players have to a green jersey worn from 1999 to 2003, switching the green out for blue. The design features the Coyote Pirate defense and the chain logo, the desert husky home and bottom end jersey, and geckos on the jersey. The jerseys were shown to the team's last February.
So what's airing right now, you'll see, is a package that they have that someone had pre-shot and gave to our producers to be able to air. So you might see during times whenever our anchors, like you see Sarandon, she might look down at her iPad. She's just trying to figure out what's coming up next, so she can figure out what she's going to be saying next in the script, make sure everything's aligning.
The next time the Coyotes will wear their retro jerseys will be on February 27th against the Colorado Avalanche. The Suns haven't been this good since the Coyotes wore those jerseys. Let's break down what their success looks like. Last night's game against the Portland Trailblazers was the Suns' 20th win. All 2 years ago, they had 19 total wins. It was also their 4th consecutive game of scoring at least 120 points. This is their longest streak of doing so since 2005.
And so we
And to
get
top
some
it off,
cool
they have
graphics
scored
like
their
you see
opponents
now.
by 92 points in the last 9 quarters. That does it for today's Cronkite Sports Report. Back to you, Brianna and Jackson.
Thanks for that sports segment, Sarandon. That's it for Cronkite News tonight. Thanks for joining us.
For top Arizona stories anytime,
And then you see our anchors.
AZPBS.org.
And so our sports segment is usually typically our last segment right before we're about to end the show. Let's see. People are wondering what a SOT and what's a VO. So a SOT, Sarandon touched on it a little bit. A SOT is sound on tape, and a VO is a voiceover. So for instance, you may see a video where you see Sarandon talking, but on screen you're seeing, you're hearing Sarandon talking, but on screen you're seeing video. That's her voice over the video. Whereas the SOT is sound on tape. That's usually when you'll see interviews with other people for like short little segments, like maybe a quote that you'll see from someone speaking about that subject, and then it goes back to Sarandon talking. So sound on tape, voiceover. That's what our SOTs and VOs are.
Yeah, just in case.
So going into the Cronkite News program, going into the Cronkite News program, what it would look like for students coming in, you'd start off very basic. One thing I love about Cronkite is even though it starts off learning the basic tools, they automatically get you into those classes that you need for the major. Some classes you start off with your basic classes, just like biology, Spanish, English, things like that. But Cronkite News, when you get there, you're already starting off with your major classes that you need to take. You'll begin doing, we have our JMC 101 class, which just teaches the very basics of journalism, how it started, different rules and regulations with it. So coming in, that's one of the first classes you'll experience. We also have a grammar class, which is online, that you will start off with. It may be a little overwhelming for students coming in whenever they see a bunch of people running around with equipment and just but it's also a very great feeling because that's going to be you eventually. Coming into the program, you'll be introduced to a lot of different things within the program, Cronkite News, because we have our digital side, broadcast side, we have sports journalism, digital audience side. There's so many different sides, so that will be something that you'll be looking into your freshman years. Which side of journalism do you want to go into? When I was a freshman, I know coming into it, the first thing I did was take a picture in front of the Cronkite News desk. And I was like, okay, this is where I plan on being by the time that I graduate. This is something that I plan on experiencing. And I'm so glad that Cronkite News is able to be that. Let's hear what Sarandon has to say.
We're going to go real. I just had to chat with my producers, so it's going to go great.
Awesome. So what are COVID protocols in the newsroom? I guess that is a great one to talk about, with everything going on now. So COVID protocols, we always have to wear masks. We're social distance. The times that we're not wearing a mask are usually when we're on camera because we want people to be able to see our lips while we talk, of course. And during those times, we're usually separated at least 6 feet apart. Anytime after we move from that place, we have to put our masks back on. And if you look around, other than the people that might be getting ready to go on camera in their positions, you will see everyone else in the studio, producers, directors, all having their masks on and staying apart. We also there would be a lot more people on campus, but we are currently offering remote for Cronkite News right now. So some of our broadcast reporters who would typically, in a normal setting, be required to come on campus are actually doing it from their house or their home or wherever they are choosing to be remote from. So that's currently our protocols. Anytime that we go out and do interviews, most of the time it's recommended that we do interviews through Zoom now. However, if we do go out, we have to have permission from our directors, and we must wear masks. They must wear masks. Stay 6 feet apart, and if it feels like there's any chance that we could be in danger, we won't be able to go on that shoot. So we also make sure to wipe down our mics and our equipment anytime after we use them. So you'll see whenever at the end of the show, whenever Sarandon's finished and everyone's finished doing their live shots, they will wipe down their equipment with some Clorox wipes that we have. Make sure everything is clean. Anything that they've touched, they will wipe down, and then they'll pack it back up, wipe the packaging down, just to prevent anyone from touching on things that we've touched on and sharing that. The most helpful tip that I have learned so far, Jordan asked this question, I'd say just to be comfortable, or the most helpful tip I think I've learned is to make sure that you put time into yourself, being in the newsroom and, doing, going through school, some people are working during these times as well, can be very hard and stressful for a student. And I remember whenever I was a freshman coming into it, especially working at the Jet Lab, I'd always see students from Cronkite News coming in feeling really overwhelmed sometimes. just because they need to get their stories in, they need to, they have school, they have everything going on. But I think one of the things that I learned to do to help with that process of making sure that you're not stressed is making sure that you sit with yourself, allow meditation, which we actually do throughout the days. At 2 p.m. it usually starts. We'll have a little meditation. Just making sure that you put time into yourself every now and then to just relax. And you have these deadlines that you have to do. You have school. You have all these things that you must prioritize, but also make sure you just prioritize yourself as well, so that you can produce really good content. So Melissa wants to know what happens if you make a mistake on air. It goes on air, sadly. And it's not the biggest thing, That's why we do rehearsals, and that's why it's recommended to read your script and stuff. Of course, there's times whenever you can't control it and you do make a mess up. And it's perfectly okay. We're still learning. That's one of the great things about Cronkite News. We do our best, we try our hardest to make sure that we are putting out an amazing newscast, and we do every week. We put out amazing newscasts, but every now and then you do make mistakes, and it's okay because we're learning. And that's really how it is in the real life environment. You keep going. That's all it is. You just keep going. You never pause and freak out about that mistake on air. You just mess up and you keep going, you just keep going. And if it's a huge mess up in lines of, it could make something you said come off wrong to the story, then it will be corrected later, of course. But if it's just like a mess up, like stuttering or just like pausing for a second or not, that it happens. We just keep it going. How do you choose what stories to cover? So I know Sarandon spoke about how they choose sports stories to cover. As far as what stories we choose to cover, we have, as broadcast reporters, different beats that we have. So I am a part of the social justice broadcast team. There's people, we have health, we have environment, we have all different types of departments in which we focus most of our story pitches on. So usually you want something that is relevant to the time that it is. You want something that people are actually going to be interested in, that could affect a lot of people's lives, that people should be aware of. You want something that is newsworthy, So when I pick a story, I typically think about, okay, what's happening with this story? Is it relevant to our audience that we're trying to reach, or just anyone? Is it relevant to the public? Is it at a time when people would need to know this stuff, of course? Is it if there's a trial for something, or if there's a court hearing for something, I would want to get that story out before the court hearing, and I'd want to get it out after too. So typically those are the things I look for whenever I look for a story. And the basics on writing a script, I can go into that too as well, when talking about how we come up with these stories. So once we come up with that idea, before writing the script, we typically we don't want to write to the video. We want to get the video, get the footage, and have that story be created by that. So we might go out and get our interviews, we'll get our B-roll, and then that's whenever we write the script. What did the person tell us in the interview? What did the B-roll that we got, what did that say? And then we put it all together in words. And when writing a script, we go into EMPS, or right now, sometimes we use Google Doc because of the fact that we're not in the studio all the time. Some of us are doing remote, and we'll put down our times for, once we do the video, we'll put down the times that video would need for the producers to know, and then we just write, like I said, with the story in the video, with the footage we have, what it says. Let's see, Framed by Film wants to know my favorite part of learning and participating in news. My favorite part about learning, I don't know, I really love, I don't know, there's different things that I probably wouldn't pay attention to as much if I wasn't a part of news. I know, I'm not gonna lie, things like politics and things like that, I usually would not pay as much attention to, but being a part of news, you pay attention to it a little more. Things with, like I said, my beat is social justice, so things with social justice things I wouldn't pay attention to as much. Maybe even things about health, you wouldn't look into. So being part of news, I love the fact that I'm always provided with so much information and so many sources that get to tell me these things firsthand from their own experiences. I love that part because I love being able to learn new things that I probably would not be aware of if I wasn't in this industry, when I wasn't required to know more about. So that's one of my favorite parts about participating in news. It's just so much that you get to learn from participating in news. Best advice you received while in school. Jimmy Journer wants to know that. Some best advice I received while in school is, everyone is at their own speed with school. Everyone is on their own time. So don't freak out if, a class that you didn't do so well in a class that you might have wanted to do better in, or don't freak out if you make mistakes and things like that. I mean, school is a learning process, college is a learning process, and I know some people that change their majors later on. There's so many different things that school can take you in college, so some best advice is just to roll with it. And we're going to go back to Sarandon to see what she is doing in her rehearsals.
Arizona is one of just a handful of states in the country where its citizens play a key role in plotting the boundaries for the legislative districts. Abigail Barrow explains how this process works. Abigail?
In the year 2000, Arizona voters created the Independent Redistricting Commission, or the IRC, which allowed a group separate from lawmakers to plot the federal and state legislative districts. But what exactly does this mean? The committee is made up of 5 members who redraw district lines every decade. The members include 2 Republicans, 2 Democrats, and 1 independent. Members use the information from the U.S. Census data to redraw legislative boundaries for federal and state seats. The hope is that the IRC will prevent gerrymandering, as there is less chance for bias and skewed results. Each time they meet, the committee starts from scratch, meaning they are not allowed to consider districts that already exist or the members of Congress who hold their seats. This year, the IRC chose Chandler psychologist Erica Newberg, an independent, to lead the committee. Newberg says that this is a responsibility at the heart of democracy.
So our job is not right now. And in my mind, scientifically or an academic, take what the Constitution tells us to do and plug it in, meet with our entire state to understand their priorities, and then do our best job to carve up the districts. For me personally, the opportunity to serve my state and have the most transparent, honest process with integrity during this, I think, politically tense time.
Sarandon is currently getting ready to do her sports report. Right now, they are doing just the general news, which is what Karina and Jackson were doing whenever they showed earlier. That's on their part.
And this is Douglas York.
And we'll see.
The 2 Democrats are Professor Shireen Lerner and Navajo Nation businessman Derek Washington.
There they are. Yep.
All of the IRC meetings
Karina and Jackson doing theirs.
Public. The IRC was supposed to meet today,
and then you see,
on the next meeting,
you can see Abigail, who was using the touchscreen earlier. That's what she looks like after her pre-recorded.
Right now, states across the U.S. have seen some pretty extreme weather. In Illinois and Michigan, froze. There are still food and water shortages in Texas after last week's deadly winter storms. And many states are experiencing COVID-19 vaccine delays.
And that's a voiceover right there. You hear Karina's voice, you see the video, so that's a good representation of what a voiceover is.
Tyler?
Yeah, like you said, storms being experienced.
And here's our weatherman. There he is, right there. That is our weatherman. That is our pre-recorded as well. Most of our weather segments are pre-recorded right before the show. It's usually the same day, but it's just recorded right before.
57, I guess that's kind of chilly for Arizona, up in the Grand Canyon and the rest of the state. Looking pretty moderate, nothing too hot, nothing too cold. Moving forward, what's up with the UV index for tomorrow? Because that's something you get to do as a in Arizona, right? You're going to sunny and 45 minutes outside tomorrow. Is a UV index that's 5.
Let's see, Ligma_Shark13 says she's already overwhelmed. I'm telling you, it's so fun though. It'll get better the more you learn.
There's a lot of places. There's a lot of places maybe. The stars come out to shine. So 10 p.m. at 63 degrees. It's a beautiful night in case you want to go to started. Looking out for the rest.
Also, William Canyon TV asked, can we talk to a camera person? Not on this one, but if you stay following our Twitch, then we actually sometime this week may have it where you guys can speak to some camera people. Just currently not now, so we really don't have a lot on set, as you can see. One of the reasons we could probably say is COVID as well, why we don't have that many people on set. But we will try to work to see if we get you guys able to speak to a camera person and get their side of it, because that's really important. You know, all of us come together to make this broadcast. That's the point of this Twitch, just to be able to show you guys, you know, what we do to create such good content and get Cronkite news out there for everyone to be able to hear the news.
As the festival moves online during the pandemic. While this year's festival is online, SciTech has plenty of fun at-home activities planned for families. Robots, rockets.
What mic quality should we use? That's a good question. The mics that we currently use, well, right now, because we're doing a lot of stuff on Zoom, we aren't really using mics that much. But in a normal setting, we usually use lavalier mics, which we get from the Jet Lab, wireless mics, and stick mics. Those are all really good mics that we use. That are all at our Jet Lab. One great thing about Cronkite is they provide all that equipment for us. So those are like some of the mics that we like. If you want to look up them, lavalier stick handheld mic and wireless mics are the ones to look for.
August, September, October, November, trying to convince people somehow we can work. It's easy. Just take your cell phone and say, hey, this is so-and-so, and we're sorry to give you.
How do you know your co-anchor? Your anchor and your co-anchor will not talk at the same time. That is a really good question. So if you look, you can't see now, but we have teleprompters, and whenever the teleprompters are put in, or whenever the scripts are put in for the teleprompter, it will say who's supposed to be speaking. So you'll see like Sarandon when she's about to speak, she'll see her name. It says Sarandon, and then everything, all the writing that she speaks on. So, and there's also capital letters usually when the anchor is speaking, so that we know the difference between an anchor speaking or a video. So those are like little techniques that we use to know when we're supposed to be talking, and making sure that we're not going over our co-anchors or.
I'm Sarandon Raboin. After the break, I'll have your Cronkite Sports Report. You don't need a DeLorean to travel back to the past. After the break, we'll show you how the Arizona Coyotes are rewinding the clock.
And that is us getting ready for break. And that is when we will show our little commercials. We are not on air, so you will see some of them kind of relax a little bit. Great feeling, actually.
Oh, you're in here.
Sorry.
Have to wrap at 3:30. Yep. Okay. You're good.
So should I go ahead and go to the host cutaway?
You're just gonna talk about it. It's like, hey, thanks for joining us. Join us back for the next few days.
Okay, and then just go, thanks for watching. After that. So
welcome back.
There's Sarandon, and that is how we do a sports report here on Twitch. Thank you guys for watching. We really appreciate the support, and please tune in to our other days to see how the studios are run in Cronkite News. We really appreciate it, and thank you so much for viewing.